just utterly world-class players lurking around this room, and Aloysius Yap is certainly one of them. Jeremy, did he open things up with a 7?
Yeah, he won the lag beautifully, laid it down on the rail. I think it was 7 before Shane got to the table. It may have been 6. Little controversy there in the middle of that match. Shane fought hard, it just wasn't to be.
Oh, it wouldn't be a proper U.S. Open without a little controversy. 2 dynamite lags here, freezes it on the rail, and off we go, guys.
And their first meeting underlined that even the tiniest mistake or the tiniest bit of bad luck can really affect a match. What happened was, in the very opening rack, Biado was in, he potted a ball, unluckily scratched, and from there Alcaide took command.
Yeah, and I think if you asked Carlo, he'd tell you maybe not so unlucky on that scratch. I think he went a little deep with the cue ball, but definitely a big tide turner in our match of last. And I was actually, ironically, just right next to Carlo talking to him when the draw came out last night. And the first thing he said was rematch. So, you know, he's very interested in this morning's rematch and trying to get in that quarterfinals, Nick.
Speaks a little bit to the mindset there. Let's run this one back, as they say.
He's been very busy here because of the defeat by Alcaide. Had to play 3 matches on the 1-loss side of the draw. So in total, even before this, he's played 7 contests, over 100 racks, won 67 of them, lost 34. And he's beaten some really good players here. Mika Immonen, 11-1. Jeffrey DeLuna and Jason Shaw, his last 2 victims. And there's the route of David Alcaide. A couple of very easy victories to start out. Then he beat a fellow countryman, 11-6, Delgado. We talked about the Biado victory. And then in the winners' qualification round, he beat the hard-breaking Mark Bijsterbosch from Holland. And that's why he's here. And I think Carl Boy's made a very good point. He knows how to handle the big occasion, having won 2 World Masters titles.
Yeah, and it looks like to me, you know, the lag on this table has really reaped some benefits, and it looks like to me a multiple game lead for the most part in each one of these matches on the main stage. Carlo, who started off this match with David Alcaide with a break and what looked like a run out until a scratch, really turned things around. And crazy, he's had to have watched a little bit of the last match, and now breaking from the opposite side of what you saw Yap and Shane put together.
I was watching him on the practice table also break from this side, and this is exactly what he was doing. He was cutting the rack, kind of playing position for the 1, which it sits in the top right. We can see the 8 and the 5 ball impede the path to the 1. So he'll have to come up with something here, Jeremy.
Yeah, the little lighter cut break, you don't get as much into the rack, and you'll notice more of the balls stay near the racking end rather than coming up table. Of course, he wants that 1 to get up in the corner and has to play a bit of a tricky shot here to start. Probably the safety, trying to run the cue ball. Oh, he cut it in, excuse me.
Oh, nicely done there.
Now elevated over to the 3. I'm not so sure if the bank laid like dead natural where he could stop his ball, I think he goes. But if he's got to cut it a bit, he may go for the safety. No, he's going for the shot, I believe.
Very confident player, very aggressive. See that ring finger dancing in the air. Missed it just high, Jeremy.
And a little fortunate not to give up an open shot. And one thing you'll see about David, of course, his countryman Ruiz, who's still in the event, is they'll play very hard, and then they try to get going a little bit. They try to put some racks together. It's a funny little safety he's got to play, I think.
Is there any chance he just banks it?
I think if he could reach it, I think you definitely see possibility of a bank shot.
Attention, please.
not being able to reach it, he may just bank the 2 away and try and put him behind the pink.
The most famous shot of his life was a bank. The 9-ball to defeat Alexander Kazakis in the World Masters final. Never, ever will I forget that.
No, and there was some controversy there on that decision by Kazakis to not take on that shot instead of, you know, playing the safety.
Nice call, Jeremy. He does find himself behind the pink 4-ball. So he'll have to manufacture something here. Biado incredibly adept at kicking and safety play and all of the strategical nuances of the game. Looks a bit tough here.
He's got to bend it a little bit, and if he comes underneath it, that's what he's going to try. 2 rails. Maybe the cue ball slides 1 rail behind the 8. We'll see. When he came across it, so this isn't going to lay well for Carlo, and it's going to be a great starter for David.
Steady. Do you have a preferred route from the 5 to the 7, Jeremy?
Well, I think at this level you're supposed to have enough comfort to come some 3 rails and drop below the 9. And the only reason being is it's a little more touchy playing above the 9, like coming around and playing above it, unless you're going to get this 1 rail angle, and then you won't try to come all the way down. You'll just come about to the side. Now he's looking to come all the way down. So he's going to stun this. You wouldn't follow 1 rail below the 9. You would always play the 3 rail position. The main thing here is get into the cue ball a little bit. Don't let it go long, and then you end up catching that 3rd and 4th rail and get behind the 9 like this. Let's slow down a little bit. He's okay.
Yeah, good call, Jeremy. He did come 1, 2, 3 around below the 9. He is a touch straight, though. He's okay, but he's not out of the woods.
No, and this has a lot to do with your nerves. You know, if you just smooth it out, the only way to really make a mistake is get a little jumpy with the stroke. Just let the angle work, you know, for what it has. Oh, that's way light. I don't know if you saw it, Nick, but a very quick backswing and a little bit of a decel coming forward with the cue.
Yeah, and he finds himself on that 50-yard line you mentioned the other day, Phil. So he'll have to come with one here. Real tester, rack 1, day 5 of the U.S. Open. 16 remain.
He's overcut it. That was just a little bit of a product of the shot on the 7. Now, I gotta believe Carlo plays offensive here.
Plays the bank and comes 3 rails around,
I
maybe
think
with a
so.
bit of speed.
I think so. I mean, the main reason about this is you can cue it, and the safety is just as tough as the shot itself.
An old adage in pocket billiards: if the safety and the shot are equally hard, take the shot. See what Biado elects to do.
I'd say just a hair under even money to make this.
And it was just a hair away. Has he got away with it?
He can bank it. I'm not sure if he can cut it, but he can bank it. Looks like he can spin this in the light left English.
David Alcaide gets a second bite of the cherry. He missed the 8-ball, but it did not cost him. He's having a serene passage through this US Open. He's now played 72 racks, and he's won 52 of them. He draws first blood here. I can tell you, Dennis Grabber and Rodrigo Geronimo on table 3 thrillingly have gone hill. It's all on that deciding rack, and Geronimo is breaking off. He's broken off. He's in the balls. The man with the mask. Appropriate that, really, because to most he's something of a mystery man.
Yeah, very mild-mannered. We spoke of it before. Not a guy that's going to draw much attention to himself besides the way he plays the game.
You crossed paths with him before, Jeremy?
I haven't got to play him now. That's going to hurt there, and he's going to have to make some shot on the 7, especially considering the situation.
Indeed.
No, Edgy is a guy who lives in California, and just recently he gets goes in spurts. Let me play for a little while, and then he's a family man, I'm sure, being Filipino. But the last year or so, he's been out playing quite a bit. One of many great Filipino players. I think we carried 4 into this final 16. Is that correct, Phil?
It is indeed. Oh, catches the near jaw of the middle pocket.
Did he get lucky there?
Looks like he did put the hand up to signify an apology, and look at this. Ball is about as deep in the pocket as a ball can be without going in. The cue ball, of course. Looks like Grab is safe. It's a great roll there for Geronimo.
Yeah, it kind of shows you the how difficult those side pockets are, how deep the slate is on these diamond tables. Cue ball just looks like it's halfway in the hole.
You can also see how much of the pocket the white cue ball here takes up.
Yeah.
You can see how difficult this equipment really is. This is touchy out of the side, and you can see he's sort of flattening that leather.
He doesn't have much angle to move the ball either, right? He's got to just take the shot here on the 1. Ooh. So I think a bit of nerves here early for Alcaide.
Oh. Dennis Grabber is scratched.
And he's lost the cue ball, and a bit of fortune there for Geronimo, and that's what it takes, some great play and some timely fortune to get through these fields. He's falling kind of steep behind this 2 ball. Shouldn't be a problem, but again, we're at the highest tension of the tournament.
Is Geronimo a hair short?
You can feel it, right? Yeah, but I think he's pretty open 9 ball. He should be able to spin across no problem.
Yep.
It's a little steep. I mean, considering ball in hand, probably more of a shot on the 9 than he wanted.
Right.
The heart will be pounding. Geronimo, as I said last night, is through again. He's undoubtedly, whatever occurs in the remaining last 16 matches, the most unheralded player into the quarterfinals. Great story. But knowing Dennis Grabber and the emotional investment he has in pool, that will hurt, like you will not believe.
We could see the heartbreak on his face there, ahead in hands. Biado's overcooked the mark here a little more than slightly, so Jeremy, he'll have to navigate this.
Yeah, this is tough with the 9 where it's at. He may have to try and pinch draw this into the 8. I don't know if he can go around the 9 so easily from this angle. Is he going past the side? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. A little delay.
Poltergeist in the room.
Nick may be a little young for that movie, Phil.
Unfortunately, I saw it. Haunts me to this day.
Well, 2 Filipinos up, 2 through to the final 8. Another one on the 8 ball here to tie the match at 1 apiece.
Smooth operator when he gets going here, Carlo Biado, looking to tie it up 1-1.
And he does so indeed. 37 years of age, Carlo Biado. He is a world champion. In 2017, he defeated Roland Garcia, who played here, 13-5 to win the WPA World 9-Ball Championship. And in fact, the following year, he almost defended the title, losing in the final to Joshua Filler. So this is how the draw has worked out. The top half of the draw, well, last 16-wise and quarter-final-wise, it's complete. Yat will play Geronimo. Lechner will go up against Denis Akolio. Must feel for Dennis Grabber. As I said before, he puts his heart and soul into winning pool matches, and when he doesn't, it really takes it out of him emotionally, mentally. That will be a match that leaves a mental scar.
Yeah, he's got to love where his game's at, though. He played great in Vegas. It seems like he's improved and really, I don't know if it's been something conscious or not, Phil, but it seems to me it's been a conscious effort to really work on his mental side as well. Can definitely sometimes let the emotions run high and let a game or two slip at the wrong time. Can't afford that at this level.
Let's see if he comes with that cut break again, Jeremy.
I don't think he's going to leave it yet. The one ball agreed. You know, that's the problem with the cut break to me. Especially, we're not playing with the template anymore, Nick, right?
Yeah, good point.
We're back to the triangle. And also, with a match in front of you, so many racks run from that other side rail breaking. Been hard for me not to go to that side rail where Shane and Yat played.
Well, I can tell you I had eyes on Biado practicing. I was just pretty transfixed watching him go about his business on the front practice table, and he really wasn't watching the Van Boning-Yat match at all. He was working, so perhaps if he did, he might be following in their footsteps, but here we are.
Well, he did play a match against Alcaide yesterday on this very table, so I believe it was yesterday, right, Phil?
Yeah, well, I must be honest. What Nick is saying makes sense. He's a very dedicated sort. But you would think he might just have had a look at the table and see how it was breaking.
Yeah, it seems like to me. I mean, that's just something you got to do, I think.
Jeremy, especially as you said, switching from the template to the triangle rack is a big difference. Alcaide's looking at getting an angle on the 3 to come 3, possibly 4 rails around for the pink 4 on the left side of our screen. He might have come up a bit high here, or perhaps he can follow one rail with a lot of right-hand spin.
Yeah, this is actually ideal if he's got that angle to hit before the side with the cue ball and come across. I like that much better than the 3 rails to the pink. Now, I think the pink did go by the brown 7, but no, I think he's perfect.
Beautiful angle there, as again we've touched on it. From the overhead, it's a bit deceiving just how small this pocket looks when you're out there. Easily missed this ball. Struck it beautifully.
And maybe a 5-9 combo in his future. Touchy shot to pull the ball right here, in my opinion, especially when nerves are high. You can underhit it, let the spin come off the ball. You could overhit it, one rail scratch in the side. I like the 5-9 combo.
Looks like Alcaide agrees, Jeremy. Kept it simple.
It appears he's got to cut this a bit, though. We'll see how he cues this. If he cues this with right spin, Nick, good chance he hits this thick into that bottom cushion. Now, if he cues it with no spin, he should be fine. But, oh, he's cueing it with a little right. Easy to chunk this into the, like I said, the short rail. I got it.
The combination, and David Alcaide takes a 2-1 lead over a player, as we've said before, he's already beaten in this championship. Can the Spaniard come through? It's very early days in this race to 11, but he's made a more than agreeable start. What an opening session to day 5 we've already had. Shane Van Boening is out of the event.
Rack number 4. Our current score is 2-1 in favor of Mr. Alcaide. Mr. Alcaide to break.
Yeah, Aloysius Jaap, superb in overcoming Van Boening. As for David Alcaide, he's made an encouraging start here. 2-1 ahead. And the break seems to be working.
And Jeremy, I would have to think that this break might be the seminal moment for Biado to consider moving his operations to the other side of the rail.
Yeah, you totally read my mind there, Nick. I don't think he can afford to not take a good chance at making a ball on the break. The cut break with the light side. Sometimes you get a kiss on that corner ball, and it appears that it's going to be, take running racks here to win on this main table. A little straight here, but I think he has enough angle to follow out 2 rails. Maybe take a little distance on the paint, but shouldn't be a problem.
Easier to take a bit of distance, giving the purple 5 is next to the pink. Looks like he's drawing 1 rail and out.
Yeah,
beautifully struck there.
Didn't have that angle we were talking about. Now he's perfect. Doesn't really even have to draw the ball much, just kind of lightly move it to the left. tell you, on paper you may put Carlo as a little favorite. Just like all these matches, you could pick someone who's a little favorite. But in tournament pool, it's more about taking advantage of opportunities and just, who's going to not let the nerves get to him, who's going to be able to perform under the pressure.
Nice look at his eyes there. Some players look at the object ball last before they shoot, and some players look at the cue ball last. Looked to me like Alcaide may have looked at the cue ball last. I've always found that interesting, the preferences there.
Yeah, actually more teachers these days teach the cue ball last. You would say 150, 200 years, textbook's been called object ball last, but I look at the cue ball last playing myself. It totally makes sense to me, but I'll tell you, a couple early misses from Alcaide in game 1 and 2. But it looks to me he's kind of settled in. So I think Carlo, well, a little light again. So kind of a decel on the delivery. So some testers here in the first few games, Phil.
Yeah, and this shot, although it's in a different pocket, not entirely dissimilar to the 8-ball he missed. Requires a thin cut. Centre cut there, though, right into the pocket without any argument whatsoever. So David Alcaide leads Carlo Biado by 3 racks to 1. And I can tell you, his fellow Spaniard, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, who was so impressive in overcoming Shane Van Boning yesterday, he's 3-1 up also on table 2 against Naoki Oi. There he is. And what's more, Sanchez Ruiz is at the table in rack 5. Other scores for you, Johan Chur. He's just taken the opening rack against John Morra. And Fedor Gorst. He's drawn first blood against Marco Chuta. Plays very quickly, doesn't he? Sanchez Ruiz bustles around the table, full of confidence. He was 3rd in the 2017 US Open. I wouldn't be surprised if he went a couple of places better here. He's got the credentials.
Yeah, and that experience he can kind of lean on. Also a final 16. Made the final 16 in our last US Open just 2 years ago before the pandemic. So he's got that experience, and he's very comfortable with all these players, of course, competing against most of them a lot of the time on the Euro Tour. So all kinds of big implications here on this US Open. Of course, nothing bigger than these guys trying to get this title, but there is that Mosconi Cup that comes later, December 7th through the 10th. All these guys are trying to make that team.
Similar to the Ryder Cup in golf.
Besides being a little elevated, a lot elevated and stretched. He's going to love this shot on the 1 with the 2 over the pocket. Now the 3's very deep in the corner. You almost could miss seeing it on the table if you don't pay attention.
He may have to come with something of a sidearm type elevation.
Yeah.
If he can't quite get there this way, but it looks like he's okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. A shot like this, you want to keep as simple as possible. The 2's good. Now the thing is, you may not be able to get to that in rail where you would like to shoot the 3 from, it being so deep in the pocket. But the good thing is the 4's kind of near the other opposite corner. So he shot that like that, trying to get this cue ball on this back rail near the 3. I think otherwise he just kind of lays that 2, that 1 in the side, and plays the 2 in the side, 1 in the corner and plays the 2 in the side. Keeps it simple, but should be looking to screw the cue ball back here.
Yeah, good call, Jeremy.
Uh-oh, watch out, 9 ball.
Ooh. Does he have to go rail first here?
Yeah, and just take the distance on the pink. You're going to get between the 7 and 4, somewhere around just past where the 6 is at.
Be a little careful here. Well done.
Draw this back out where it's at now. Kind of overhit that a bit.
As you were saying before, Jeremy, with a small decel of sorts or falling short of the mark a bit, he might have made sure he didn't do that. And as you said, a little bit of a tester here.
Yeah, and generally speaking, I think he's made a little hard work of this. Just got a slightly bad vibe about this shot for some reason.
Well,
Oof.
Phil.
Well, I think you were right to say slightly.
No pictures on the scorecards, as they say.
Yeah, read my mind again, Nick, that it's just a matter of marking that bead on your side, and it doesn't matter how they go down.
Doesn't want to fall straight here on the 7. Oh my, Phil, well, you felt it.
Same thing, though. Quick backswing leads to problems.
I felt it coming on. I was one shot early.
Yeah, again, that's the one big issue that most have when the nerves get high. That may have to slow down a bit. If that slides, this could get funny.
He spoke to the cue ball with that little tap of the chalk. And Biado certainly is looking to pounce here, to say the least, Jeremy. You cannot give a Carlo Biado chances like this.
And I'm very interested to see if he changes the break. I think he's almost got to.
Likewise, tickly little one here, though.
Yeah, he's got to kill the cue ball, maybe. He's going to try. Yeah, he killed it with a little side, but.
Well, we've seen this shot come up time and time again in this match so far, just in the 5th rack. This awkward kind of back cut. Nobody really wants to have to shoot this shot. Oh, beauty there. Center of the hole, Phil.
Yeah, Nick, and I think while the pattern of this match is still being established, that will be a real setback for David Alcaide. The missed 6 ball shouldn't have been missed. He should be 3 ahead, not 1. So what about these latest scores? Johan Chur and John Morrow now 1-1. Fedor Gorst, who's played some really good pool this week. He's 2-0 up on Marco Shooter. And Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, we saw him at the table in rack 5 against Naoki Oi. Well, he cleaned up, and now he's leading the Japanese player by 4 racks to 1.
Well, one guy you brought up there that is, at least the last year or two, has been talked about so much at every tournament, but I kind of think he's kind of slipping through the cracks, is Fedor Gorst.
Yeah, I mean, Fedor is something of a wonder, you know, keeps it real simple, beautiful fundamentals, the mind seems right on, and fearless too, has all the heart in these big moments. You know, the Ruskies kind of have ice in their veins, but I know what you mean. He's sort of just under the radar, but we all knew he'd be down here, Jeremy.
Kind of figured it. Oh, well, this is surprising staying now. Does he change the break at all? Does he still play the little cut now? He went with the firm one. So a bit of a change for sure. But if you're going to use the firm one, it's just got to be that much preference for him from that side of the table. That's the only thing I could figure, right?
I was thinking the same. He must just feel more comfortable from that side. But as you said, he did change to the firm one. And I suppose got a hair unlucky that the
Push
one
out
contacted the point and didn't fall north of it to provide some kind of a look at it. And he's pushing out to David here.
So we just saw Naoki Oi running around the table there, pounding the balls in, pulling one back, trailing 4-2. You can see that over on the Matchroom YouTube channel.
Yeah, Carlo's never getting this back. There's a couple different nice safeties. The one thing for him that gave him a little freedom with the cue ball and the rollout was the 2-ball position on top of the 4. But still, I think you still had to roll out a little tougher than he did, right?
Well, he finds himself in a very awkward situation to navigate with no real return safety promised. Even hitting the ball is a bit tricky. The 7 impedes a natural route towards the 1.
Well, he's coming underneath this because if he gets into the rail, he could make the 1 off the 4 in the corner by the 6 here. He wants to hit underneath this just like that. Yeah, it looked like it was dead to me.
Great call, Jeremy. It looked like it was dead to Carlo as well. What a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll endorse what Nick said. Cracking call, Jeremy.
By the way, Jeremy, did he just kick that thing right in?
Yeah,
Not
no, he hit
even off
behind
of the
it.
purple?
Off the purple, yeah.
Oh, what a shot.
Yeah, that's the reason why he went that way. Is just it did have a chance of going. And of course, Carlo and Filipino players are so knowledgeable, and instincts probably second to none. They're going to recognize those things.
Yeah, you both saw it right away. I mean, no wasted time there for Biado whatsoever. 3-3 for him has to almost feel like a lead, given Alcaide was over that 6-ball.
Yeah, especially considering he hasn't gotten anything going on the break yet. So I wouldn't be surprised he changes again, to be honest with you.
It was the first thing he spoke about in an interview yesterday as well. He said his game feels great. Everything is clicking on all cylinders except for the break. He's been trying to kind of figure it out all week.
And that's not really making balls at this level. That's as far as, you know, being able to break to put racks together. That's what's gonna be needed to win this tournament. Now he doesn't want to make both. Don't think he'll try to draw the cue ball. Wow, he did. Okay.
Cutting out the middleman.
Right. Well said, Phil.
Well, a lot of guys stay away from that just in case they don't make it. The 7 can maybe get in a funny position, but now, like you said, Nick, 3-3, and he's got to feel great about it.
Early on in our first match, it was all Aloysius Yap. This one is back and forth. It is 3-3, and you get the feeling it is going to go quite deep. In fact, it could go all the way. Alcaide 3, Biado 3. What a day it's been so far. So much pool, so much drama, so many storylines. Now, we saw Naoki Oi win rack 6. He's not taken advantage of his break in the 7th. Has he split the 3 away from the 4 just enough? I believe he has.
Yeah, it doesn't appear he can go forward with the cue ball. He may just have to draw this back and take the thin cut on the pink. But his countryman's got to settle in. You know, he's had the advantage on the break, but he's had 3 misses. 3 pretty open misses as well. And they're a miss by Ruiz. So Oi with an opportunity to cut that lead.
And that was the shoulder ball. A really bad snatch, as they say in snooker. That's not a good sign when you do that. That's the telltale sign that nerves are creeping in.
Jeremy, this here looked a little more like the blueprint for Mr. Biado. It was kind of the cut break, but the 1 ball came 1, 2, 3 rails around, pocketed a ball, and he has a look at it in this top right.
Yeah, and I don't think it was so intentional to cut that time. Just a hair off is all it was. Going forward here. He's drawing the cue ball.
Great stroke there.
We talk about Carlo all the time, really uses the draw stroke when he has a choice, you know, prefers that a lot, it seems. Much different than most Filipino players. And that's one thing that I felt many times when not only nerves are high, but I had a form of dogging it, is what what Phil just alluded to. When the shoulder gets involved in the stroke, that's whenever things can really start to cripple. And you can start to have a lot of abnormal misses or abnormal hits on the cue ball.
And in regards to the nerves, just observing Biado simply eye test, he looks pretty steady out there.
Well, he'll tell you, and he's had some interviews lately because of such great results, that he does deal with them. You know, we all deal with them a certain way, and they're always on different levels, it seems. Like I'm a little more nervous, or I'm totally calm, and everything in between, Nick.
One thing with the Filipinos, too, they're so used to playing in front of crowds, as is typical out there. So this kind of environment with all these people breathing down their neck, it's somewhat normal for these guys, right? In the pool rooms, they tend to conglomerate around the tables.
Yeah, I actually commented that the venue is so nice. There's so much space that you almost can notice a little bit more going on, in my opinion. It's like you have so much space, and then easy to see somebody some 20 feet away, where the pool room is kind of like busy everywhere. Kind of lose track of what's going on and just get into the game now. Look at where he's put the cue ball here.
Yeah, exceedingly tricky shot. He has to cut it very thinly, possibly even fall beyond the 9. Maybe even play it in the same pocket which he's shooting the 7. Or perhaps he can hold it. Either way, this is very dicey.
I like him letting it out and get below the 9 here. That way he makes the 7 more often. Trying to slow roll it definitely makes the 7 more missable.
Another great call, Jeremy. It was undercut, and it's another twist. Momentum switching first one way, then the next. 3-3 the scoreline, and both players have already missed 3 pots apiece. It's not the quality of Van Boning Yap. Nowhere near yet. But it's equally captivating, because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Attention, please.
And Alcaide kind of grabbed the rail there, but I can't, deny that it looked the same to me. A little bit of a decel on the delivery, so that's a big, sign of nerves are high. Don't think you'll have a problem here, though.
He's missed 3 balls. You tell him, despite that, he would be in front. You wouldn't believe him. He wouldn't believe you, I should say, but he is in front. David Alcaide back in front at 4-3. Now, let's go down to Michael and Carl.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, Carl, it's tense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely got a different feeling out here, guys. Obviously, user in comms, me and Michael are having a little roam around and a little nosy at all the tables, aren't we? And there's a lot of pressure going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Just behind us, Fedor Gorst, desperate to win this trophy.
Yeah, he's obviously former world 9-ball champion. He's got a tough match against Marco Tuccia, but he's looking good. And, just looking around, I think there's going to be a few hills this session, and we love a hill.
We do love a hill. And confirmation as well, with Shane going out, we'll have a new name on the trophy.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. Yap played awesome, didn't he? Obviously, we all watched that. The last 2 years, the US Open has won by a European. Will it stay in Europe?
I would say, does that make him the favourite? But in pool, he could just go on to lose the next match. It's just so unforgiving, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many good players. Even the likes of Dennis or Carlo looks good. And
there's
even
Naoki
the winner
there.
Yeah, Naoki's playing well. He would be a popular winner, wouldn't he? You love Naoki, don't you?
I do love Naoki. Who doesn't? Who wouldn't? Right, should we go back to table 1?
Yeah, let's go back to the boys in the box.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we have just seen Naoki Oi pot the 9-ball to get back onto level terms with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at 4-4. And I agree with you two. Hills and this group of 4 matches we're currently watching, monitoring, highly likely.
And he mentioned Dennis Orcolio. I was sweating a bit of him versus Mario. He looked just real good, Jeremy. It'd be a great close down here on the boardwalk.
Yeah, well, I mean, a player you definitely figured to be there if he gets comfortable, and it looks to me he's gotten more comfortable every day. Difficult rollout here. I'm not sure where I go. He may go to the jump cue, but the guys are so good these days with the jump cue. Hard to just push onto the 6 and assume that Carlo's going to miss that with the 2 near, or the 2 near pocket, excuse me.
Biado, your option?
Looks like he agrees, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be behind the 2-3 here. Pretty nice path to come off the left side of the 1. He's got a beat hitting the 9. Yeah, that's the angle he's looking at right now. Not so sure that really David could roll out too many more places, but he could really take the worst of it after this shot's over with.
Let's see if he can miss that bumblebee that you just alluded to. The 9's a very big ball coming off this angle. Oh, and he's done so wonderfully well. What a beauty there. Great call, Jeremy. Even blocking some kicking paths.
Nick, I really like that. I'll be using that in the future. The bumblebee.
The bumblebee, Phil. Can he jump this one, Jeremy? So close, but he's got it out. I'm always surprised by how closely they can be to the ball and still get it over.
Yeah, this is tough, though, because it won't have much on it, and it's easy to curve when you have to go over something so close, but then also carry the cue ball so far. So, believe it or not, if he mishits the cue ball 1/8 of a tip, he could easily curve the cue ball and whiff the entire 1 ball. He got to the thin side of it. He's going to need some help. So Carlo's going to be rewarded with a shot here now. I wonder what he plays.
Perhaps between the pink and the brown in some capacity, but it's tough. Again, the 9 looms.
Yeah, 4 rails is what Nick's talking about. Now, if he's comfortable, just shoots this in with a little outside, comes 2 rails, maybe bumps the 7, comes right inside the 7. But when you're nervous, you want to let the cue ball run here.
And of course, we can harken back to the great Efren Reyes, who at times would put inside English on a shot like this, but you have to be just so utterly confident to slow roll this one in with the right hand spin. Let's see what Biado chooses.
I think he's just going 2 rails. Needs to slow down a bit.
Beauty there.
Yeah, that was a great shot. And the one thing about Carlo, who I've always commented about Dennis, is what makes him so great is really they rarely back off what is the correct shot. You know, even when the nerves are high and say, man, I don't want to miss this ball, let me take a little off of this or make things more simple on myself. It's one thing that I've always adored about watching Dennis. Almost gets me in stroke just watching him play.
It's really well said, Jeremy. Everything is committed. They do what needs to be done. And they both have a little bit of those crazy eyes that you were talking about that Mr. Van Boning possesses as well. The table works for them, not the other way around.
Yeah, Carlo used to get a little odd head movement, like a little bob of the head at times. And when that got very consistent, it's almost like he never missed.
A point worth making. You say they never back off the correct shot. They also have the ability to identify the correct shot.
Very well said, Phil.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is where these guys come from and the conditions they learn. You have to be such a student of the game to, oh, wow, this is going to not be so much fun. From where he was, he made it just about as tough as he could. Missable ball here, Nick.
Yeah, it is. As we can see, he's elevating off of the side rail. Easy to overcut bobble this. Oh, but he struck it beautifully. Harder shot than he made it look.
The timing was nice. And what I was getting at is these guys, the conditions they learn to play under in the Philippines. Now the pool room's there and the facilities have come a long ways in the last 10, 15 years, but you almost have to learn, you know, the table up and down, because very difficult to draw the cue ball and in humid conditions, even pool tables outside, Nick. But now Carlo exactly where he wants to be to tie this match at 4-apiece.
The pride of La Union province in the Philippines is back on level terms. It was 3-3, it was 1-1, now it's 4-4. What a battle. Half of the quarterfinalists in the 2021 US Open are now known, but the other half, they are still to be supplied. They will be by the 4 matches currently in operation here at the Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey, the new home of this terrific event. All started out very humbly, the US Open in 1976, and look what it's grown to now. In the last 16, no less than 11 nations were represented.
We are currently
none more so
tied at
robustly
4
than the
games
Philippines,
apiece.
who had
Mr.
4
Biado
players
to break.
in the last 16. And they've got 2 players already into the quarterfinals. Carlo Biado hoping to make it 3.
Well, I don't understand that. He changed his break. He pulled it out after making balls from that side rail, but even more so, watching David just pour them in from the opposite side rail. So do you think the brain, you could get a little nervous with the brain, obviously, Nick? I mean, you being where you're at in the poker world, that's a big one with the brain, and I'm sure you see people dog it in that manner all the time.
Well, of course, myself included, nerves can, we can get a bit foggy out there. I'm really not sure. It's a curious thing. It seems the opposite side of the table has produced such wonderful splits of the balls. And it goes without saying, he will need to sort this out to win down here this week. Alcaide's overcooked the mark here a little bit, and we can see the 9 precludes easy position on the red 3.
Yeah, I don't think he has an offensive future here. I mean, can't really play safe on the 2 easily, so he's going to have to pocket the 2 and then manufacture either some offensive shot that I don't see or a good safety on the 3.
Would it be too ambitious to bank the 2 cross corner and follow
Attention, please.
Straight down for maybe a look at the 3 in the same pocket?
Yeah, that would. Maybe if he's off the rail a little bit with the cue ball, I think maybe he could stun that in. But being on the rail and rolling the bank, boy, that would be a hard one to pull the trigger on for me. Maybe bank the 3 if he could roll the 2 in. Oh, nice call, Nick. And I'll tell you, that was gambling, but.
Well, Alcaide and I both like the wrong shot, perhaps, Jeremy. But
well, he could see himself putting some racks together if he buries that.
And
that's a big deal here.
Yeah, and like we've touched on, so many times, it's so hard to let these guys back at the table. It's easy to try to just stay at the table versus a Carlo Biado. Navigations from the red to the pink, Jeremy. It's a bit dicey.
Yeah, you may have to go ahead and get into the cue ball here, pulling it. I'm not so sure a 1-rail angle really does much unless he gets by the 6 with the cue ball. May have to put a little something into the cue ball here. Oh, he could kill it nicely. And that's a product of being close to the 3.
He has to be respectful of the 8-ball's presence here. As far as navigations from the pink to the purple, I think he can just miss it naturally and come back to center some odd table.
Used every bit of the pocket there to avoid the 8. That ball hit way up on the top side. And now he's in a great position. He can go 3 rails with inside. I kind of like the zigzag shot with low outside, just coming back and forth above the 7. Little low hair right English. Oh, okay, it spread nicely off the 2nd rail.
Oh, zigzag indeed. That it did. Great stroke there from Biado.
Still not out of the woods, though. The 8 up on the top rail. The 7 doesn't pass the 9. He's elevating here, so he's trying to draw past the 7 for the 7 in the side where he's standing. Oh, he drew that way. Okay, so the camera fooled us, and he's getting a little off angle here. That's what's the problem with the side pockets sometimes, Nick.
Indeed, Jeremy, and we're going to see him let his stroke out a bit here. He's trying to spin this. Oh, he's accepting an awful lot of work on the 8. Good thing for him here is that he just has to make it, as they say. Position's very natural to come 1-2 out to the center table, but a very tickly one here. Yeah, and that's beautifully struck, Phil.
It is, and you can't help but feel as though, in many ways, he's the more likely winner. It's still early, take my word for it, but that's the first time that Biado has hit the front, and bear in mind, he was 3-1 behind, now he's 5-4 ahead. The gamble of Alcaide blew up in his face. And look at Naoki Oi, 5-4 up already against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and he's got the 9-ball, which surely will find the pocket to lead 6-4. He's one of the great characters of sport, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and I'll tell you, he may be the one guy in the room, or let's say not the one guy, but the guy that lets the score line affect him the least, it seems like to me. And he's trailing 3-4 games. I've been watching it for about 4 weeks now in different events, and just doesn't seem to bother him.
The other two scores on the outside tables. On table 4, Fedor Gorsht in control against Marco Schutter, leaving this rack out of the way. Schutter taking that one to reduce Gorsht's lead to 5-2. And on table 3, John Morra, ambidextrous John Morra, leading
Rack
Johan
number
Chur
10.
4-3.
Our current score is 5-4
Yeah,
in
I'm
favor
still.
of Mr. Biado.
All right. All right, he's
Biado
pulled it out a little
to break.
bit. He's got the hand on the table similar to where he broke last, and he broke dry. All right, he's got a kiss on the cue ball. He's going to end up sweet on the 2, and got to like it from here.
Navigations from the 2 to the 3 are paramount here, and the rest is, of course, the 3 to the pink 4 is also vital. But as we can see, that green 6 ball looms very large here. And he's not the tallest chap, so he'll have to either get the extension out or use the bridge.
Their meeting in this championship a little earlier in the week wasn't their first at the 2015 World 10 Ball Championship. Biado overcame Alcaide late on, eventually lost in the final to Ko Pin-yi of Chinese Taipei. So they know each other's game inside out. And I think the defeat he suffered against Alcaide in the earlier rounds, that will provide extra motivation and extra fire.
Yeah, like I said last night, the first thing he said to me was rematch. Got to play a tickler here, short side on the pink a bit with some traffic. It's got to go a little bit. It's got to go.
Well, surely he was mindful of the corner pocket where the 8 ball resides as far as things to worry about. And he has come up short here, so he'll have to play a safety of some kind, Jeremy.
You'd want to think you'd want to involve the 5 and the 7 in this safety. If the 9 wasn't there, you certainly would. Easy to remove the pink and put him behind that 5 and 7. All right, he wants to squeeze it up on the brown.
What a good shot that was. And the way players are so adept with the jump cue, you can see the virtue of freezing him on the brown 7 and forcing him to kick.
Quintessential Filipino.
Yeah, and quite a must, really, as Nick alluded to. You put that pink over the pocket and you allow them to go up in the air with the cue ball. They become a favorite these days, don't you think, Nick?
Absolutely, from what I've seen. And the 9 ball looms very large here. 1 extension per rack, an extra 30 seconds, so he'll have 60 to navigate this. And
he's got to kick at a light speed to keep accuracy, in my opinion. And I think it's very makeable at a light speed. It didn't bend on him like he expected.
It's a foul.
Naoki Oi seems to be free-flowing out there on table 2, Phil.
Yeah, he's feeling good.
Well, I'm a confirmed fan, so I'm delighted about that. We want to see him in the tournament. We want to see his antics. We want to see him make us laugh, and we want to see us all entertained. Yes, a confirmation. Oi now 7-4 up on Sanchez Ruiz. And John Morra and Johan Chur locked together at 4-4.
Well, to me, I see Carlo getting a lot more comfortable with the stroke. I don't really see any more mistakes happening. We'll see what the break brings, but he's looking pretty good now.
I don't want to overstate, Jeremy, but that was a pretty little follow stroke there just now off of the 6. So much effortless kind of rotation on the cue ball, and with this 9 ball, he'll slide into a 6-4 lead, and I have to agree. Looks good right now.
Yeah, like I said, don't foresee any mistakes from Carlo. It's got to be something with the break. Maybe Alcaide coming with a kick shot or a jump shot to try and turn the momentum around.
Just trying to emphasise Carlo Biado's place in the modern game. As we've said, he almost retained the World 9-ball title in 2018, having won it the previous year. And when you consider, in the history of the World Pool Championship, only one player has successfully defended the World 9-ball Championship, and that was Earl Strickland. Back in 1991, he won the first 2 stagings of that event. When you consider Biado was 1 match away from equaling Strickland's achievement, I think that puts into perspective just how good he is. The Filipinos, though, boy, what a collective. I'm going to ask you a question now. If, at their height, when they got Reyes, Bustamante, all these guys, had they played a 5-man team event, Philippines against the rest of the world, who would you have thought would have won?
Well, maybe the dynamic of having all your countrymen and friends versus the rest of the world's dynamic, but I still would have had to take the rest of the world, I think.
Rack number 11.
Just a numbers
Current
game
score,
there,
64.
as great as the
In
Filipinos
favor
are.
of Mr. Biado.
I don't know.
Mr.
Good
Biado.
argument, though.
That's a tough one. Efren, Busti, Parica.
Yeah, there's
Seems the
so
Filipino
many.
contingent now is a bit deeper. It's hard to say. The rest of the world speaks for itself. Jeremy, he's found something here in terms of ball pocketing. It still looks like a bit more volatile than some of the guys who are so in control of position and so on, but at least he's not coming up dry. So he has found a little something here.
Yeah, he got a little cut on the 1, which promotes making the 1 in the side versus playing shape on the 1. Now, to me, it looks like he may go at this cross side at a mild speed. I don't see why not.
Interesting, a two-way shot of sorts.
That's right. I mean, you could play just the all-out safety, I guess, and try and really bury him underneath the pink, moving the 3 up in the middle of the table, maybe using the 9 as well, but probably maybe a percentage play a hair better, but sometimes you knock this bank in right here, you may end the set, right?
Oh, good call. That's exactly what he played, and he struck it phenomenally well, although he falls below the pink. So he might have to just feather it and go up and down, maybe using the purple 5 as a potential ball to snooker Alcaide on, although can he twist it in, Jeremy?
I don't think so. I think he's a bit underneath it, so he's going to have to play this away. Maybe playing another bank, trying to move the cue ball behind the 8.
Oh, this is no good here, is it? Oh, maybe he just got him. Pardon me, guys.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you're right. I think it's no, he's got him. He's got him. I can look. I can see the table from here. Now going to the air. Does he want to cut this in the side? If he plays it in the corner, it doesn't offer much shape.
Well, you said it before, Jeremy. We're at that juncture where Alcaide needs some momentum, and you cited a jump shot as a potential way to kind of
change something, right?
Change something up. You got to be careful trying to cut in this side. Can miss the whole ball easily, but the corner is, of course, no walk in the park and doesn't really provide position either.
And the hit on the pink shouldn't be a problem. He wants some results, though. Well, there you go.
Well, he'll take that, and if he elects to bank this cross side, which I think he will, it does look like it provides somewhat natural position, 1-2 rails and around, although again, the 9-ball does loom. But you would imagine he takes this on cross side, Jeremy. It's close.
I'm leaning like it may be a hair thin. Just a hair thin to go at the bank.
It looks like David concurs. Okay. Little cat and mouse going on here.
And he's put it in a good spot. Doesn't really appear he can kick 1 rail underneath it so easily from some 8 feet away. If not, he'll kick by the 8, 2 rails. Now he's going to try and get behind it. So
watch this one to go in the corner from which he's shooting. Could easily kick bank this one in there.
It's Supposed to hit this at a light speed though, or else the like that, or else the cue ball come out. He caught it in and out. He caught it coming in and out. That's how tight it was.
And so indirectly, Alcaide's outrageous fluke on the pink 4-ball could well have a massive benefit.
This has to go. Boy.
Well, I hate to say it, it's been the constant fundamental failure there. A little bit quick going back and a little bit light coming forward with the cue stick, and it's been a common theme for David his last several opportunities. This is a shot he excels at, though.
I don't have to take your word for it, Jeremy. Beauty there.
The start of his troubles, ironically, came when he missed seemingly a much easier 6-ball than that.
Okay.
Just when you thought that Carlo Biado could possibly gain a stranglehold on this match, David Alcaide wins what is for him a vital rack, regaining a semblance of momentum. There's just one rack in it now. Biado's lead trimmed to 6-5. John Morra 5-4 up on Johan Chur. Fedor Gorst 6-2 up on Marco Tuta. Naoki Oi 7-4 on Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Is it going to be 7-5 after this?
He's got a bit of a shot on the 9. Probably takes it in the side. Lets the cue ball run a little bit. But back at our main match, I'm thinking about how this is going to unfold, and really the break shot may be David Alcaide's savior here, meaning it may, you know, he's breaking well. It may allow him to settle the nerves. He comes away with a couple easy starting shots, right?
I was thinking something similar, Jeremy. He's certainly produced just phenomenal results on the break all throughout from what we've seen.
Biado, Mr. Alcaide to break.
Going to that side that Van Boningen Yap preferred. Purple flies in, cue ball controlled wonderfully well. And does the 1 pass the 2? If it does, it's exactly what you were talking about. That little tap of the chalk would signify that it does not.
Yeah, and he's definitely wants to put some racks together. He's taking another look. Looks like he's not. Maybe he's just sizing it up. Either way, he's probably got to feather the one way or another to play the safety. He's really looking at this.
When they say half a pocket, this might be legitimately half a pocket, enough room for just the ball and nothing else.
Tell you what, though, position is easy. Just got to hold the cue ball there, and he makes the 1. You can see the 2, the 3 over the corner, the 4 in the middle.
Looks like he is taking it on, Jeremy. Could be mistaken.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of them, looks like to me. Not a lot, but plenty. Let's say that, yeah.
Okay.
So what was all the tap about on the table then?
Maybe a little drama, a little Hollywood at times. You know, it happens.
Yeah, you know.
It's his show, Phil. We're just over here talking about it.
The nominations for Best Actor are...
The cueing, maybe. Maybe he was a little upset about the cueing over the purple.
Exactly as you were saying before, though, Jeremy. This is just what David needed to kind of get going. Broke the balls beautifully. Gave us a little show on the 1. Twisted it in. Now he should be tying this one up, barring anything unforeseen.
Yes, the break gets you going in our sport a lot of times. We've seen it time and time again, but sometimes when you are struggling, or maybe I wouldn't say struggling, he's just had a few shots that have gotten away from him, but when you're feeling the nerves, sometimes the break shot can get you started in a manner that kind of settled those nerves. And this is overhit by quite some distance here. The 7 doesn't pass the 9, I don't think.
Yeah, that was clumsy, wasn't it? Far too much reaction on the cue ball.
You may have to follow this one 1-2 rails and out. Looks like he is approaching it with a high left-hand approach. Never mind, we're going low. And this is tricky, Jeremy.
He's coming back for the side.
Watch out.
Oh, that point may have saved him.
It may have indeed.
Well, he fluked a jump shot in on the last. A little bit of a fluke into position here. That was going to get treacherously tough on the 7, it looked like. Watch out. Just got to stay calm. 1 rail across.
All down the back of his shirt, you see the letters that spell out his surname, Alcaide. And now he needs backbone, because we're getting into the vital segment of the match. It is 6-6, nothing to separate them. Well, Carl Boyes and Michael Bridge both predicted we were going to see some really tight matches, and they've been spot on. I can tell you, Johan Chua is back in front against John Morra at 6-5. And Fedor Gorst, he's looking good against Marco Chuta. 7-2, the Russian now in front. As we go back to table 2, which you can see in its entirety, as with all matches on table 2 on the Matchroom YouTube channel. Sanchez Ruiz looking to get within 1 rack at 7-6. Interesting, you know, we've talked a lot this week about the crossover with Judd Trump coming from the world of snooker into pool. Sanchez Ruiz played in a world snooker ranking event, the Gibraltar Open, and he actually won his first match against a very capable player from London called Martin O'Donnell.
How long ago was that?
A couple of years.
Okay. Interesting to me, he got the cue ball clean there. And I don't know if things have changed, but in the players' meeting there was emphasis on a rule that the cue ball will only be cleaned in between games.
I was thinking the same, Jeremy. I remember when they covered that.
Yeah, I actually asked about it because one of my opponents was using a type of chalk that really left a lot on the cue ball. My referee in the match said, no, you can't get clean till in between racks.
Table 2 closing up. Sanchez Ruiz within 1. Naoki always lead slender at 7-6.
These matches are moving right along, and this will complete the round of 16 that will give us our final 8 and our quarterfinalists. We're playing down to 4 today. All right. I don't think he's trying to make this, just trying to push the 1 into cover. Watch out for the cue ball.
Nicely done.
He may have left him just a little piece of the 1, maybe all the 1, really.
Well, if he did, as nice of a shot that was, he rates to find himself in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure he can run the cue ball off the left side. That would be the one you want, I think. Otherwise, he'll hit the 1 fully, banking it down table, putting the cue ball behind the 7 and the 3 and the 2, maybe, something like that. He played it on the thin side, lots of gaps that way. It could be behind the 6 here in a moment. May have a cross corner bank.
Hard to see the exact amount of the 1 that he could strike from here. He's
Attention,
declared
please.
his extension. He's going to mull it over.
Yeah, his body language tells me the pink 4 has him cut off a little bit on the 1. Definitely, I think, has a piece of the 1, maybe half of the bottom side. I think behind the 6 is the shot. It's subtle, but Played it thin. Beautiful play here. Under the circumstances, I think that was a great shot.
Nicely done. And I would imagine Biado will be kicking into the north side of the one on the side of the pink, brown, and green and try to come off it and use this cluster of balls to block Alcaide.
It's really one side or the other should be okay. Yeah.
Typical Filipino sort of maneuvering. Does get him on the blue too, and the initiative certainly resides with Mr. Biado this rack.
Don't they kick well?
Yeah, they really have brought the world along the last 30 or 40 years in the kicking part of the game, and also the speed. As you notice the speed he hit, it's not just hitting the same side, but the speed control. And now Carlo's going to be rewarded a shot and a chance to regain this lead.
And he is. Believe the 2 just squeezes past the 8 in the side. If it does, that'll make things a lot simpler. It's close, again, digressions, but those side pockets are so tight. It's a hair short of the mark.
And the main reason it's a hair short is because he doesn't have the entire pocket. Anytime you're shooting towards just a portion of the pocket, you want to kind of get close to your work. Accuracy is at a premium.
Suppose if he just tickles the 8, he would probably be okay, but it looks like he's putting a stroke on this ball. Accuracy is paramount here. Oh, and he squeezed it into half the pocket beautifully, spun around 2 rails.
Played that with inside English, Nick, to a half a pocket.
That was a great shot, frankly, a fairly unsung shot, but stellar execution nonetheless. Tricky here, elevated over the 7, might need to pull back.
I think it got just as funny as it could. He's got to pull back past the 7.
Anytime you're elevating and trying to apply backspin to the cue ball, you'd better hit it accurately or else things can go wrong. I guess he can get a...
Oh, he's playing the kiss shot.
Oh, smart pull there.
And I'll tell you, that shot into the side, that 2 ball to a half a pocket, drawing the ball with a lot of side spin, tells me he's definitely comfortable.
Great shot. Great run out here from Biado if he closes the show to cruise into a 7-6 lead. As you said, Jeremy, twisted that 2 ball in with inside, played that beautiful little carom, and then that nice stun 3 ball into the center of the corner pocket.
It would be difficult to cogently argue that Biado hasn't been the best player in this match. And yet he's only, if he pots these last 2 balls, only got a 1 rack lead to show for it.
Yeah, well, that's 9-ball pool. You play many matches. You're not too happy with yourself and you get a win, and then you play a great match and lose sometimes. Can't wait to get to play that next one. So it's a long-term thing, Phil. You just hope it all comes clean in the wash, right?
You're right, though, Jeremy. He does look quite cool, composed, and confident. He's 7-6 ahead. David Alcaide, the World Masters champion, twice over, has to come from behind. Welcome back to the US Open. Welcome back to Atlantic City.
Our current score
This is day 5 of
in
6.
favor of Mr. Biado.
A day that's going to reduce
Biado,
16
break.
players to the final 4.
Well, Jeremy, let's see. The break hasn't been super consistent for Carlo. Does find some love from the 2 there in the top left.
Yeah, but again, no corner ball. Where the corner ball, even though no template now with the final 16, the corner ball has been fairly consistent on this table today, at least by the other 3 players that's had the opportunity to break, that being Shane, Yap, and Carlo's opponent.
Kind of shades of a prime Efren, where everything is so sublime in terms of execution, except for that break over the years, which kind of adds to his lore. Tough one here.
I was going to say, is he playing the 3-rail safety?
Oh.
And a huge mistake that he got away with.
Right.
Surprised he didn't entertain cutting the 1 and coming across and at least having a look at the 3 from a little bit of a tough position. But the 1 was easy, right? I mean, the 1 was a playable ball.
I also assumed he would cut it in and like you said, possibly fall nicely on the 3 to make it in. If not, play safety on the 3, as we see Alcaide is going upstairs. Very close to his work here. Oh my.
Oh, what a shot. And he's got to make a big decision here. It's 7-6. He's got a 3-5 combo that is super tough. Trying to figure out if there's a safety I'm much in love with here, Nick. I mean, you can't afford to let Carlo see a piece of the 3. You'll get buried behind one of these groups of balls, so I wouldn't doubt he takes this combo on.
I want to hit this with a little authority. Oh, he is playing the safety, and like you said, Jeremy, it was a tough safety that he has somewhat gotten away with. Perhaps Biado has just a sliver, but let's see.
Yeah, he got away with that big time, that 3 catching the 5. That made a huge difference here on the outcome of this shot. And he's going to try and cut this in, I think. I know that looks crazy, right? But I mean, not sure what else
Attention,
he has.
please.
Well, it does look like perhaps the only part of the 3 he can see is the part you would need to see to back cut this in, as they say, but we can really see how steep it is here. And he overcooked it. Leaves the 3 hanging in the hole, and what a welcome sight for Alcaide in this nip and tuck back and forth affair. 7-6 Biado as it stands. Phil, it's really been quite a match.
Yeah, and it's providing no clues even now as to who is going to be the ultimate success story. Biado's pot success rate just slightly superior.
Do you favor rail first here, Jeremy?
I think he almost has to.
Extension,
Not
please.
sure how much of the 3 he can get at anyways with the 9 near. And the thing is, I think the rail first is fine to float by the, the 4 in the same for the same pocket. Don't think it really lays to where you're going to get in too much trouble. It shouldn't get away from you. He's elevating, so he's going ball first. Wouldn't elevate on a rail first. Oh my. Watch out. I think he's okay.
Oh no,
I don't think so.
Yeah, he looks displeased.
Interesting way, the path he played there. I'm not total disagreeing on the path he played.
Oh, maybe he can load this one up with right. This is just a treacherous sort of shot. See a gentleman peering over the
Easy to
there.
foul, though, trying to spin this in.
Absolutely.
No, he's ducking. He's putting him behind the purple and trying to play the pink up. Smart shot.
Perhaps a cross-corner bank. Miss the 7, come down for the purple and err on the high side to double bank it right by that diamond logo in the center rail. If he misses it, seems to afford a kind of natural route. Nicely done.
The clarity of the thought process of the Filipinos, extraordinary to me. Look at that shot. It was so well thought out and so well executed. That's the two things you need in cue sports, welded together.
It's a great point, Phil, and I had mentioned the bank, but I actually think Carlo just went all out to play that safety there.
Yeah, I think he was pushing it, trying to make the bank, and I think it lent.
Watch out!
Oh
my goodness! So Alcaide, fortune favors the brave, and he'll have a real tester here.
Yeah, sometimes it's behind a mistake or two. You know, like Carlo didn't gain position. Now he had to play safe, but really it's kind of come from nowhere the last couple games. A little fortune. Talk about a blood tester. Wow.
Yeah, indeed, Jeremy. What's your preferred method of cueing here? Do you
like
a center ball?
A little bit low. Not a whole lot of side spin, that's for sure, but definitely want to dig on the ball a little bit.
Has the beeps in his ear, and what a great shot that was from David Alcaide there.
No point in having good fortune if you don't take advantage of it. But in Alcaide's case, he's definitely been the luckier of the two. Two outlandish flukes now in relatively quick succession.
And I don't know if it's the case or not, but I see him with those flukes and a little bit of luck and some great shots. Don't get me wrong, the 4 down the rail, nothing easy about that, but maybe settling in as well.
Well, he's settling in, but a hill affair could be upon us as well, where it's hard to be too settled. Have to make Alcaide the small favorite from here, maybe a little more than small. Race to 4 with the first break is massive if he clears these, which is not preordained. This has to go a little bit, Jeremy.
It could get a little funny. Horse coming into the sides. Easy to bobble the ball, and I would definitely make him a clear favorite if he gets out here having the break at 7-7.
Watching Filler play over the years, he sometimes takes these ones up to the corner.
Yeah, good call and a great stroke there by Alcaide. Maybe one of his cleanest of the match, really.
Center cup, Jeremy.
Tap, tap. David, also, we have to say, fluke. It's 7-7. You can't be annoyed about the way things are going. It could easily have been 9-5 to the other guy. Other scores, Johan Chur. 8-5 up now on John Morra. Some daylight appearing there. Fedor Gorst, 8-4 up on Marco Chuta. And Naoki Oi, 2 racks away from victory at 9-6 against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
Yeah, I think Ruiz just put another beat on the side, so that may be 9-7. But both the Spaniards in action here, fighting for their tournament life, and that shot at what most think are the biggest prize in all of American pool, the U.S. Open.
A coveted title indeed.
When did you play in your first, Jeremy?
1995, I believe it was. I came to kind of spectate. 96, I turned pro, and I came to spectate, and some spots opened
15.
up, and so I decided to play.
7 games apiece. Mr. Alcaide
I
to
remember
break.
correctly, I think that was the year Rodney Morris won, I believe, in 95. Could be wrong about that, but that's who it was. It may have been 96 for Rodney, and Efren in 95, maybe.
Well, these have cleared nicely, Jeremy.
This is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes the start after the break can really settle yourself, and he's in a great spot here. And it's amazing how Poole is. The one hit 3 different points by the side, didn't fall. Doesn't have much of a shot if it does on the 2 with the 3 blocking. Still got to work though, because the 9 ball, right? If the 9's not there, everything's real easy. Now he's got to go past the 9, take a little more cut on the 2.
Yeah, good point. And the 3 to the pink 4 is somewhat delicate, as the brown 7 sits in the way of just center table position, devoid of thought. He's looking at that little slippery angle now.
Just to clear up the history lesson, by the way, 1995, Efren Reyes got to the final of the US Open, lost to Reed Pierce.
Reed Pierce, okay. I knew Reed was in there as well, so.
Well, he's come up a hair
So maybe
long.
it was Rodney in 96 then, and then Efren in 97, is that right?
It was Rodney
Efren was
in-
94, yeah.
Yeah, it was Rodney in 96, Efren in 94 over Nick Varner.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why I was trying to find, Nick, if there was really a good way to move the cue ball into position for the two somewhere else. Now.
Doesn't look like he
Attention,
can strike
please.
the 8 full after slicing
it's
this
going to
in,
go up
right?
table off of it, right? Maybe get behind the pink. I think he wants to draw 3 rails between the 4 and the 8.
Yeah, this
I
is
think that's what he's kind of wanting to do.
very tricky, kind of little back cut.
Oh, yeah, very missable ball as well, let alone trying to gain position.
Indeed, extension declared, but time is slipping away.
I'm not sure he's even cutting at this. Yeah, I was about to say, it looked like he may be banking it.
Well, fair enough. Nervy one here. And the 8 somewhat looms if we just play it to make it with a little bit of authority. Position is delicate for the pink 4.
Yeah, all about pocketing this ball here, though. And an interesting play on the 2, not one you see very often there. Got
Deep
it
in his
down. He's going to get
backswing.
on top of the 4 a little bit.
Well, that's a
He's
beauty
all right,
there.
yeah. Like you said earlier, Nick, it's not really recorded how they go down. It's not really recorded how you get out. It's just all about the score line. And if Alcaide goes on to win this match, it's not a match he'll probably reflect on or try and lean on so much, but it is nice knowing that you get through some of these, even though, you know, we'd like to not ever make a poor stroke, but it does stand to have, you know, some good things come out of it.
Comfortable looking draw stroke there with the spin, overcooked it slightly, but the crowd lets him hear it. Pretty little shot. He'll follow up a little bit. And an 8-7 lead for David Alcaide is upon us here in this race to 11. Fight your way out of the Sweet 16. Have a chance at that ever coveted title, the US Open Championship. Perhaps the most prestigious in pool. It's subjective, but it's up there.
And now Alcaide with an easy one on the 9. And some of that crowd noise, I think, is for Naiki Oi getting to the hill against Alcaide's countryman, Ruiz.
Yes, and in this match of wildly fluctuating fortunes, that's David Alcaide either taking or retaking the lead for the 4th time. The score now, 8-7. Let's go down to Michael and Carl.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Right behind us, Naoki Oi. Carl, he's nearly there.
Yeah, it was 9-7 to Naoki. Sanchez had a really good chance, missed the ball, and then Naoki's just got himself on the hill, so a little bit of drama. We've got the best seat in the house for this table, haven't we, buddy?
Yeah, well, we stand in, but we have. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Also, I talked to you about the Mosconi Cup because Dennis Grubber, he lost early, didn't he? And honestly, he was sitting there so disconsolate for about 15 minutes, jacket over his head. He was distraught, wasn't he?
Yeah, he threw his cues on the floor. He lost in such a brutal way. It was hill, and Geronimo sort of fluked a hook snooker in the last rack, and he was just distraught for 30 minutes. That's what it means to the players. The US Open, the biggest tournament we have.
Such a brutal sport, isn't it, at times?
Yeah, it can be, but, you know, when it's all going your way, it's the best sport in the world, but when it's not, it does hurt. But you just got to go to the bar and relax and just get on with life, haven't you?
I'll see you at the bar, mate. Yeah. Back to you, Phil.
Our answer to the Chuckle brothers, Michael and Carl. And I just knew, the moment the 9-ball went down for Rodrigo Geronimo, I just knew how much it would hurt. Poor old Dennis Grubber. Hurt, doesn't really cover it.
Yeah, like I said, I think Dennis has made a conscious effort to make his mental game much stronger, which is not going to do anything but make the physical side of things stronger. And he'll shake that off and realize that he's had a great tournament and a great few weeks here in America and move on. Back at the main table, though, the ones opened up, really kind of the shot of the rack most likely. Now, this is where your nerves, like you said, does he feel good enough to cue this with inside English and try and come one rail? He could come 2 rails and hit inside the 3 and get the cue ball kind of where it's at now to take on the cut shot on the 3. That's what I like, actually, versus the inside English. But looks like he's going with the right check. He's settled in all right, Nick.
Yeah, that was beautifully done there. Just a touch of right-hand English, and just wants to ensure an angle on the 6 to come over for the brown 7 as part of it's obstructed by the 8 ball, and he's well on his way here.
Just worth saying, though, you know, I have noted movement on certain shots from David Alcaide. He might be susceptible to falling victim to growing nerves as the line gets ever closer.
Well, some of this is stylistic too. Players do get a little movie with their body, as we see Naoki Oe on the verge of a closeout. Phil, perhaps your favorite player.
Yeah, well, he didn't get on that ball so well. I mean, he could have used a lot more than that. Not sure really where he was going with the cue ball, but one thing good for Oy is really plays hard when it comes to pocketing the ball. Look at this.
Yeah.
He's pretty comfortable.
What a player he is, really, Jeremy. A unique sort of cat.
He's gotten so much better also. That's the great thing about Oy. He's fun and whatnot, but man, he's on the improve.
Yeah. I've shouted Geronimo this morning. Now I'll say, oi, oi. Naoki is through. Fantastic stuff. The man from the land of the rising sun on the rise in this game of 9-ball pool.
Does this have to sit, Jeremy?
I think he's okay.
Well,
maybe not. I thought it was easily okay. I have to play this with a hair of side spin to try and maybe grab the 7 a little bit, redirect it. If he tries to stun this, he could overcut this into the point. No, he could get it. Maybe a little drama like from earlier.
Yes, a touch of Sir Lawrence Olivier once again, but he's fallen a little straight here, so you're never out of the woods when you're trying to close out matches deep in a U.S. Open, Jeremy. You'd know. I mean, it's real out there.
Absolutely. Okay, got past the side.
Oh, beautifully executed there from the Spaniard.
And he's going to get that 2-game lead again. I think the last 2-game lead he had was that 3-1. Is that right, Phil?
It is. David Alcaide, never a player to hide his emotions. He's so deeply involved in this, and now he's just a couple of racks away from going through. That also applies to Fedor Gorst, 9-5 up on Marco Chuta. And Johan Chua, he's 9-6 up on John Morra. Our quarter-final lineup is getting ever closer to completion. As Nick said, it was a Sweet 16. Regardless of who comes through in these remaining 3 matches in this round, it's going to be an Elite 8. Just get the impression, though, on our main table, it's going to be still a match of twists before we arrive at the line. One of the reasons the guys are getting so animated, so pumped up, a financial reason, and who can blame them? If you get to the quarterfinals, it's just less than $7,000 guaranteed.
Mr. Alcaide.
You win the whole shebang.
Mr. Alcaide.
You walk away with 50 grand.
You walk away with that 50 grand and the title of former U.S. Open 9-ball winner for the rest of your days. come up dry here, Jeremy, and what a look this is for Carlo Biado to stop the bleeding and perhaps mount a charge of his own.
Yeah, and those balls didn't react anything like they have the entire match. You could kind of see David give a very wry smile, if you want to say, kind of looking up at the pool gods and wondered what happened there. But yeah, Carlo's got to do it now, of course.
Yeah, inclined to agree, Jeremy. Those did not spread nearly as well as they have been. Biado squeezes that one in, and no real issues here.
No, really just making sure he can roll this in and come across the 3. He can pull this ball out a little bit and play with the 3 more from the middle. It's kind of up to him. All right, he came more of the middle route.
Oh my, take it easy now.
Yeah, get a little flat here. I think he can follow out 2 rails. Appears to me anyways.
Of course, touchy with the black 8 looming, but it does seem like he can follow 1, 2 out just below that diamond closest to the left-hand corner pocket and spin to center table. But touchy might be queuing low here.
He's hitting downward on this ball, trying to come back between, maybe bump the 4, play short side, something like that. He's
blood tester here.
Kind of from nowhere, looks a little bit unsettled again, in my opinion.
And he has been in the chair for a bit.
Yeah.
Combination of unsettled and simply a hair cold.
He's got to hit this on the high side, right? Come above the 8. I think if he comes backwards with the cue ball, it could have problems. And makes more of a missable ball.
Beautifully done there.
Yeah, nice shot.
There's a tendency amongst certain players when they are on the receiving end of not 1 but 2 or multiple flukes to start thinking that destiny is against them, and that unsettles them purely by thinking, well, it might not be my day. Not saying Biado's in that group, but it's not a nice feeling. There's no doubt about it. Alcaide's had a really good run of late. Biado trying to reverse it.
Yeah, it's easy to weigh on that, but you can't really get to this final 16 if you're one of those types, not too often anyways. And he's kind of picked up the pace getting around the table here, hadn't he?
Yeah, he got in a little bit of trouble, but once he made that beautiful recovery shot on the pink, I think it was right back to business. We have a 9-8 affair. Biado set to break. What a match here on the feature table down in AC, 16 left.
We've seen so much over the 5 days here. It would be great to see a match go its full distance, and there's every likelihood this could be the candidate. What a smashing day it's been
Number
so
18.
far at the US
Our
Open.
current score is 9-8 in favor of Mr. Alcaide. Mr. Biado to break.
John Lehman has refereed both matches so far on the main table. Just announcing the scores there. Announcing the fact that Carlo Biado is one rack adrift. Ooh, and again, the balls are not rolling in his favour.
And at this point, one could say that while he hasn't totally solved the breaking woes, Jeremy, the, you know, Lady Luck hasn't quite been on his side either.
Yeah, that's right. A difficult rollout situation. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. I think maybe cut the 2 towards the middle of the end rail and let the cue ball drift towards the end rail, making it almost impossible to get shape on the 2.
Mr. Alcaide, your option?
Well, he's leaving him a little thin hit on the 1 to play total cue ball speed behind the 5 and 7, I think, anyways. Not sure what else Carlo really had in mind just in case he gets it back. Now David looking like he sizes it up a lot, though. He'll get down on the ball and then get back up off of it like that.
Right, nice call, Jeremy. Yeah, he did leave him a tricky little shot here. While the safety is sort of clear-cut as far as what to do, execution is, you do have to be careful here.
No, I agree. Anytime you make it about talent and it's not just automatic, you've done your job rolling out. He's got to.
Oh, that skidded on him.
He's got to have a great speed. It kicked a little bit.
When he did that movement with his hand, he was alluding to the grabbing of the 1 in the cue ball, Jeremy, a skid of sorts, and wow.
Yeah. And that's sometimes from that little bit of a decelling stroke that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes it's just the conditions of the balls. They just tend to grab, and or at a slow speed, it happens more often.
Watch out.
Yeah, that was way thick on the 1 there, huh, Nick? I mean, he was supposed to hit much thinner on the 1 there to come out an easy 2 rails for the 2 ball.
Well, they're feeling it out there, both of these men. 9-8, race to 11.
Interesting you should say about the deceleration of the stroke, because he overcut the 1, of course. That's what happens in snooker. If you decelerate, overcutting occurs.
It's interesting there. Biado was just watching his eyes. He was going back between the cue ball and object ball, but then a quick little glance over at the purple and the brown, which he'll have to navigate now. Perhaps playing the purple in the same pocket as the 3 if he can draw out, or accepting.
I would take it upstairs myself, I think. Keep it simple. Now, he likes to move for the short pocket. I mean, all of us like it, but I mean, you still have to make a sound decision doing so.
Oh, he agrees with you, Jeremy, and he's fallen short of the mark, I believe, slightly.
Well, we'll see how he feels, because he could certainly just knock this away and pin him behind the brown. But I think he's supposed to take it on.
Yeah, he probably rates to make this at least 8.5 times out of 10. How often does he win the game if he freezes him on the brown? Perhaps comparable, but here we go. Entire U.S. Open rests on this shot for Biado, and he struck it beautifully. Former world champion.
He went through the field pretty well so far, but I've watched about 3 matches, and 2 of them here on the TV table, and I still don't think we've seen, 100%. I think we're around 80-85% from Carlo. Gonna have to pick it up to win the event and get through this match. About to be 9 apiece.
Indeed, Jeremy, it is. It was 1-1, 3-3, 4-4, 6-6, 7-7, and now knotted up at 9-all. Cracking match, really is. Cracking match in terms of the scoreline. I think the quality is definitely not up to Aloysius Schaap against Shane Van Boening. Van Boening ran 3 racks off the break. Jaap ran 8. Here, Carlo Biado hasn't done it yet, and he's on level terms. So this is how the draw is shaping up. Johan Gonzalez Chua is on the hill against John Morra at 10-7. We know about Alcaide and Biado. Marco Quater, you know, from Holland is making a really good fist of it against Fedor Gorst. Gorst in front all the way, but now the gap is only 9-7. And we know that Naoki Oi is through 11-7. Earlier today, there's Yap, beat Van Boning 11-5. I was so impressed by the young Singaporean. Rodrigo Geronimo, the least known of the quarterfinalists, regardless of who comes through from the remaining 3 matches. He defeated Dennis Grabber from Estonia 11-10. Max Lechner, also a winner, and Dennis Okolio.
15. Our current score is all tied at 9 games apiece. Mr. Biado to break.
Well, it's really been the storyline of this match, or one of them. Biado's breaking woes of sorts. Corner ball misses, one in the side. The deuce is spinning. Does the brown 7 or the pink 4 impede the path to the pocket? It looks like it does. So once again, that non-break and run streak for Biado will somehow continue, even though this one seems remarkably tied up at 9-9, given that little statistic there.
Well, he's not taking much time here. I'm not sure what he's doing. I guess just feathering the 2. And yeah, that's what I was saying. You have a minute. There's no reason not to use it, in my opinion anyways, or at least a decent amount of it. And he's giving up a good play on the 2 to get him up behind the purple 5 and the red 3. So,
well, as a native of the Big Apple, Nick, that was a New York minute.
Indeed it was, Phil, and it's a fantastic point you make, Jeremy. I mean, he got right over the ball. Naturally, he saw what he wanted to do. But as you said, and it looks like David has fallen, pardon me, he's fallen nicely. I thought it was short, but it just kept drifting. And the purple 5 does preclude the path to the 2. It looks like Biado is going upstairs.
yeah, and really a pretty simple mistake on that first shot, which has gotten him in this position with the jump cue. Not sure what he does with the jump cue here. I kind of agree with hitting it with the jump cue, but where are you going? At the 9 here, Nick?
Maybe just gamble. This is, I think, sort of...
Great shot, I think, considering.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this was somewhat of his idea, at least subconsciously and maybe just consciously. And now the initiative rests with Biado. What a match this has been.
Yeah, great idea. Of course, like Phil said, it hasn't been stellar at all times, but it's been a lot of drama, that's for sure.
And it hasn't been stellar with comparisons to the absolute elite of the world, but end of the day, they've both produced some great moments as well, and some fantastic shots. Perhaps a little kick and stick here, Jeremy, at least attempt-wise.
Yeah, when nerves are high, you can hit the 8 here, so watch out. Okay, he was worried of that, so got into the ball a little bit. He's going to leave a long shot for Carlo, but nothing easy.
Quickly, Fedor Gorst on the hill at 10-7 over Quater. John Morris pulled one back against Johan Chua. It's 10-8 to Chua on table 3.
It does look like he's going to have to strike the purple and the red after the 2. He's got the beeping in his ear. And we see him take the extension and not have to deal with that. Over the week, we've seen a lot of players kind of rush when they hear the beeping. Declares the extension. Great shot there. Fine execution under the circumstances. Does appear the red passes the purple into the same pocket. He'll want to just navigate, not flirting with the 8 ball here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he just pinch draws this and takes distance, goes 3 rails around. He can do that. A little inside English like that. Wow, this really went off though in his hand, Nick.
Yeah.
I don't understand. That was supposed to slowly come around those balls. I don't understand all the speed there, but again, hard to sometimes get a hold of your cueing when the nerves are high, right? So,
yeah, and you were espousing not decelling. That was almost the opposite.
yeah.
What's he sizing up here?
I don't know. I think maybe just trying to feather it and come behind the 6-9. Just rock the 4 up the rail a little bit like that.
Yeah, that's what he did, and it's well done.
You can't see nerves, but you know they're there. Nerve ends for both players are raw, understandably so.
And I think we've lost maybe the North American Canadian John Moore to Johan Chua. Maybe not. Maybe it's still going, but kind of felt like I saw the guys maybe unscrewing the cues.
Makes contact. The pink is careening around the table. It's going to set up wonderfully for Carlo Biado to have the first chance to strike. Find himself on the hill with the break. Some work to be done, though.
You were right about Chua. He's beaten Mora 11-8. No more of Mora.
Yeah, well, loosened fairly early. He made a great run, deep run, and
Easy.
yeah, the nerves are getting on these guys here now. That was overhit by some 2 to 3 feet.
Yeah.
I know it was with the bridge, but still pretty easy shot overall.
And that's his first real inkling of disgust for us. We can see how displeased he is with that shot, and I do believe he's used his extension already, this rack. I could be mistaken, so
No,
we better
he
get to it,
has.
Jeremy.
Yeah, when he got elevated on the 2 and he made that great shot off the end rail with the 2, yeah, he's got to go ahead and shoot.
Yeah, 8 seconds to
He's
decide
elevating
here.
here as well.
Is he banking it and stunning to the rail and out? Oh, Carlo, what a shot.
Oh, we lost John Moore. I was just saying he lost early in the event and really got going. Made a deep run into the final 16, but interesting to see what unfolds these last few games here on the main table.
Well, if you follow this one around with the inside, you just have to be careful not to hit it full and scratch in this bottom left, which I don't think will be an issue for a player of this stature, but
Yeah, the 9's in the way to really pull the cue ball back, so he's got to kind of go, well, he's cueing it with, no, he's cueing inside English. No, he got above it. That was a dangerous play, by the way, going that way.
it was, and you mentioned it before, Jeremy, he does favor going low
Yeah,
more
he
than
likes the draw stroke.
most.
More than most Filipinos, too, because, you know, you play in tough conditions, it's hard to draw your ball, so that's why the guys are always so good at running the cue ball, the Filipinos, and really knowing the paths of the table. But
Well, Phil.
Carlo Biado, you can feel it. He's full of nerves. The normally smooth stroke leading to a few misjudgments, but he won the rack anyway. The key ball, of course, the linchpin was the double. And now he's within sight of the line, but by no means over it. Of course, if he does win from this 10-9 advantage, it would mean guaranteed one Filipino in the semi-finals, because his next opponent would be Johan Chua. There's the double I was talking about. That could be so important in the final analysis. And what made that really impressive for me was he'd already taken his extension and time was running low, but he wasn't flustered, he was accurate. Has he got one last thrust? Carlo Biado 10, David Alcaide 9. This could be quite a depressing hour or so for the Spanish, because quite recently Naoki Oi completed that 11-7 win over Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
Well, perhaps they can meet Dennis Grabe at the bar, as Carl Boyes was
Number 20. Our current score is 10-9.
recommending.
In favor of Mr. Biado.
Biado trying to
Biado to break.
make 4
on the hill.
Filipinos in the final 8 if he goes on to win this match, I believe, anyways.
Sure is.
Kind of impressive stat.
Break's been erratic, Jeremy. Let's see. Watch the 3 ball. Watch the cue ball. Watch the 1 ball. 3 cooperates. The 1 falls just short of the side.
Yeah, it's going to get up enough for a cut shot that I think he'll take on, especially he's going at the pink with the cue ball. I think the pink kind of covers up the scratch, the 1 rail scratch, somewhat anyways. I think he's shooting here, Nick.
I think he is too, Jeremy.
We've mentioned this before. We haven't seen a break and run out from Carlo Biado. How ironic it would be if his first came when it matters most.
Indeed it would, Jeremy. As you said, the cue ball should be traveling towards the pink. You also have to be mindful of the side pocket here somewhat.
Yeah, I think if he makes it, he gets past the side. I think, unless he spins it. And he's gone towards the pink. He's made it, but the purple's over the opposite side, so I think the 6 goes by the 9 if he doesn't want to move the cue ball much.
Well, great call there, Jeremy. Not only did he go towards the pink, but he sunk it.
And I think he gets by the brown 7 pretty easily here. Just can cheat the pocket, hit the 5 a little heavy.
Beauty there.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have that break and run you were talking about, Phil.
David Alcaide is a smashing fellow, a world-class player and a double World Masters champion. But I think, on what I've seen in this match so far... Oh!
My.
I was going to say, if Biado wins, it'd be the better player. But then the 6 goes astray. Unbelievable.
And I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of balls missed in that bottom left-hand corner. He should never have missed it, don't get me wrong. But again, 4 1/4 inch pockets are no joke. These boys are out there playing on tight equipment. He just mishit it. And as you were saying, Phil, the show marches on. Almost overcooked the mark here, Jeremy. Wow.
Yeah, and it's... as I looked at Alcaide and what I thought was going to be a clearance from Carlo, I was thinking Alcaide's thinking back to that rack he broke at 9-7 that just didn't kind of respond like the rest of the racks have the entire match. And oof, got a little bump.
It was a class stroke, though. He hit it well. He flirted with the 8, but
yeah, but didn't flirt with the side. I
right.
think that was part of that equation. And Carlo's wondering what happened on that 6 ball.
It was really an aberration. It didn't even really look like nerves to me. It almost looked like the opposite. He was just so wet. It was over in his mind, and it just goes to show how precise one has to be on the pool table. Beautiful shot there from Alcaide. It looks like we have a 10-10 affair here on our hands here. Wow. Gentlemen, has to handle this, though. My.
We've got our wish. And you know, Carlo Biado, if he loses this match, will never, ever, ever forget that 6 ball. It was unforgivable. A very, very bad mistake at the most inopportune moment.
Or you could see the hand go over the cue like he was a little unsure after he let the cue ball go away from the tip, right? So he wasn't sure at all he made that ball.
Do you think he was between strokes, Jeremy?
I don't think so. I think it was more like what you said. When he first struck it, I don't think he was in question, but as it left, he started to think maybe, but stroke looked fine to me.
And my mind goes back to the Rock, one of the greatest moments of David Alcaide's career when he beat Alex Kazakis in the final of the World Masters. How did he win? Because Kazakis missed his chances.
Yeah, Kazakis missed position on the 9, and still people still argue about, well, should he have went ahead and taken on the bank himself or played the safety? And I understand both sides of that. Now, I've been around pool a long time, and it seems like when the matches are huge, they're big matches and mean a lot, there's rarely ever a break and run on the hill, it seems like, Nick. It seems like something always ties up, or maybe a rollout situation. We'll see what unfolds here. But
indeed, John Lehman keeping a close eye on the ball. It's esteemed referee for many years now. Alcaide set
Rack
to break,
number 21. We are all tied at 10 games apiece. Mr. Alcaide to break on the hill.
And this is the only match out there now because Fedor Gorst has beaten Marco Schutter 11-7.
Indeed, the whole room is
more into
watching.
this, huh?
Corner ball, 1 ball drops.
Oh, the two's getting up table,
And
though.
as you said, the pink and the purple, Jeremy, they're a little funny.
Yeah, but he's going to attack here on the 2. It does lend getting on the 3, and I think if he makes this 2 ball, he probably wins the match. I think position is fairly natural. He may get a position on the 3 to open up the 4-5, but the safety on the 4-5 isn't too bad either. So one thing is, don't let the hill get you a little drag in time, and you normally have to shoot a little quick with the shot clock kind of going down. That can happen. I've seen that happen a lot of times. Hill, mainly Mosconi Cup matches, but
Excellent point.
I don't think you can afford to put left on this. I think maybe just straight down between the pink and the 9.
Easy to err on overcutting this.
Yeah. I hit it thick, way thick. He's going to hope he can't get a look at it, and he can, so not going to be happy with that.
Oh, Carlo zipped out of his chair there. So thankful to have another look. When you give world champion caliber players another look, well, we shall see.
Stomachs churning, minds in a fog, hearts all aflutter.
Yeah, trying to float just 2 rails across the 9 here for position on the 3.
Attention, please.
I'm sure what you said before applies here, Jeremy. If he makes this 2, well,
I like his chances to win the game. Well, he squeezed it home. He's going to need a friendly bump here on the 3, and he got it.
And he does, although...
But now he's going to have to attack if he decides to shoot the 3 in the pocket here, Nick.
You favor going into the purple and the pink.
Well, what I'm saying is he can't hold it to play a safety, and he's got to get on with it. He's used his extension, so he's going.
15 seconds.
Yeah. And he's attacking, trying to get the, I think anyways. He's just going
playing for the combination.
Yeah, he's going to play for the pink-purple combo. Watch out, cue ball. He's going to get perfect here, I believe.
Well, that is a fantastic shot given the circumstances with the bridge, slicing it in beautifully into the center of the hole. Tricky little combo here, though, Jeremy. Where do you fancy the pink going after?
Cross-side-ish, I think.
You want to put a nice committed stroke onto this. You can't baby these.
I think he's got to cut it a hair, too, so the cue ball will go towards the 9, and I think the pink will go towards the opposite side pocket. Does he have not out of the woods?
No, not at all, but did go cross-side, as you mentioned, Jeremy. And
I think he's got to draw his ball here, Nick. I don't think high ball is it's not a very fun way to have to shoot this.
no, but the good thing is all he has to do is make it, so to speak, and he'll be coming 1-2 for the 6 in the middle side. And make it he does. Mr. Carlo Biado, my word, Hill, Phil, this is how you get it done.
Well, if he misses this 6, there's going to be a steward's inquiry.
I'm sure we'll see some emotion from Carlo if he does clear these. What a match this was, Jeremy.
Yeah, you won't see a whole lot from the mild-mannered Carlo Biado. It's kind of why he goes through these tournaments sometimes without getting talked about. It's amazing. He's always there, it seems like, come the end. Oh, there you go.
Heartbreaker for David Alcaide. What a great player he is. He'll be back.
We're going to lose both Spaniards in the round of 16, but we got 4 Filipinos moving on.
Yes, the Filipino flag flying high here in the United States. They've been the preeminent nation in the world of pool for many a year now. And boy, are they making an impression on the US Open of 2021. 4 of them, a quality quartet. into the quarterfinals. And the last of that 4 is Carlo Biado, by the skin of his teeth, winning 11-10 in an absolute thriller. When he missed the 6th ball in what proved to be the penultimate rack, we thought, has he blown his chance? But when he got a second chance in the decider, he took it with aplomb. And how about this? Who would have thought before that contest that Carlo Biado could beat a world-class opponent like David Alcaide without breaking and running a single rack in the 21 that were played? But he did, and he's through. Well, what an incredible session that was. Brilliant stuff from so many different quarters. We saw both quality, tremendously high standard pool in our first match on the main table, and then we saw great drama in our second match. So here is the draw as it stands right now. The bottom half of the draw, Johan Chua, he won 11-8 against Canadian John Morra. Carlo Biado, we know, came through 11-10 against David Alcaide in that thriller. Fedor Gorst, he beat Marco Schutter 11-7, always in command in that match. And Naoki Oi, the great jokester. But it's a serious business now because he's in the quarterfinal of the US Open. And this is the top half of the draw. Yap, brilliant, I thought, against Shane Van Boening, winning 11-5, breaking and running 8 racks in that match. Rodrigo Geronimo, not well known, but he's through nevertheless, beating Denis Graber from Estonia 11-10. Max Lechner, he beat Mieszko Fortunski 11-4, and Denis Akolio, what a player the Filipino is, beating Mario He 11-6. So Carlo Biado has now had time to gather his thoughts, and he's chatting with Michael.
Thanks, Phil. Carlo, oh, now you can relax.
Yeah.
What a match.
Yeah, I'm nervous on that the sixth ball I missed, you know, but I'm still relaxed in the decision game. I said if I give me a chance, I need to relax. So, you know. Oh my God! I'm still, my heart's still beating.
Yeah, yeah. No, Carlo, it was a phenomenal match. I really enjoyed that one. And obviously, you're playing a top player in David as well, and you've played before already.
Yeah. And also my break in the beginning, I'm struggle in the beginning because my break is not consistent, and Alcaide, you know, he's best player in the world too, and also he have a good break, so that's the problem of me.
Sounds to me like you think you have more improving to do ahead of your quarter-final.
I need to work out my break to going to the finals. I hope I'm gonna play good in the next round.
Yeah. Now in the quarter-final, are you thinking semi and final, or are you just thinking of the quarter-final first?
Quarter-final first before the rest. Yeah.
Carlo, many congratulations. Get a well-earned drink and get some food ahead of the quarter-final. So Carlo is in the quarter-final. You can see that in a few hours here. So what a fantastic few games we've had. But for now, we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.